Hello, this is Bunhao from Studio Semantics. I think it's easier for people to remember my Christian name, which is Daniel. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. So, uh, Daniel was a name given to me by someone close to me. I mean, when it was a chosen name. She gave it to me. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll just use it. And I, I remember uh, in Bible study, I think. The king sends Daniel into the den, the lion's den, and somehow he survived because he's his God is powerful or something. So I remember that story, but there's a lot of apparently there's a lot of stories that is within the book of Daniel. I that you know doing a little Wikipedia, you realize that the book of Daniel is a second century BC biblical apocalypse combining a prophecy of history with I don't even know how to pronounce that word. What's it called again? Eschatology. I don't even know what that is, but apparently it's something that is about the portrayal of end times. So that's kind of weird because I'm doing a lion here, or what seems to be a lion. I mean, it's not. I know my style of drawing itself is not realistic. It's kind of abstract also. It's not realistic at all. It's kind of like there's a certain flow to it. That's why I like using. That's why I ink it. I decided to ink it because I I like things with a certain flow. But I also realized because this liner brush is something new to me. The You can see my hands is very tense throughout the entire process because I have no control over the I'm not saying that I have no control over it, but the control of the brush itself is not very good. Uh, so I tense up a lot, and it's not good to do that. So, but anyways, the point of me doing this is it makes me feel happy. I think drawing makes me feel happy somehow. I think I wouldn't say it's happy, but it gives me a certain kind of joy, even if it's very tedious. It took me about 4 hours to ink this process, to ink this drawing for the entire process. 4 hours to ink this, and in the end, I'm okay with it, but I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I realized that the tip of the liner brush is very long, so when I reach the end of the other line, I sort of flick it a little. I don't know how to stop it from flicking because it's a brush, so a lot of mistakes throughout the entire process. But it's okay, it's a learning process, and I do enjoy doing this, but I don't think I can do it often because not just because it's tedious, but because I need to do other stuff too. Within art and design, I think doing this makes me happy, but I don't think it's not good enough. I think it's not good enough for commercial purpose. I think this is more like a hobby. It looks like a hobby too. So I do not know how to get into the fine art industry, but I try. Every day I draw something and I post it on my Instagram. And since that day, there's I can't remember when was it, like 3 days ago, it was be 15 March. Yeah, I think Instagram and Facebook went down. So I decided to, I shouldn't just use Instagram. So I also have like Vero. I post my stuff on Vero too. Anyways, that's me doing art in a way that is not very. This is just me doing art. To me, it's art. Maybe to other people, it might not be art. My friend, when I share this video with my friend told me, "Are you just doing tracing? This is just to him, it's just tracing. It's not. this is not artistic enough for him. I I realize as many people have different views, so I wouldn't dare to call this an art, but that's I wouldn't force you to say that this is art, but yeah. Anyways, if you have any tips on uh, you know using liner brush itself, you can always comment down below. Tell me how you control especially when it's like a curve. I realize that the curving of the liner brush is very difficult because it's very long, and then I tend to flick it a lot when I'm doing this piece. I don't have anything in my mind at all. I'm just doing what it just go. You can see it goes according to the flow. I started with the tail first, so at first I wanted to draw some kind of Chinese clouds, but then it turned out, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to draw it as a tail, and then suddenly this entire being is born from this. And of course, I do some reference because in my mind I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't really see it in the in the more artistic way. I think I say, okay, I want it to be like this, to be like that, but it's not it's not to be it's not new to me. So uh, I have some reference from Pinterest, and then you can see the way I do the leaves is heavily influenced by other artists like Hokusai or what's his name, James Jean, I think. Yeah. So I create things that is not new lah. To me, it's not new. Somebody else has already done it. I create it in a way that I feel that is not really unique. Although, okay, it's not saying that it's not unique in a way. It is unique. In its own ugliness is unique because there's a lot of mistake. The thing about fine art is there's a there's a limitation to the mistakes you make. There's a certain beauty in it, in the imperfection, but this is not it. For me, I think this is I overcommit I think I overcommit into something that I shouldn't have done. This is like a 12-hour process, I think. But this is part of life, I think. You already started something, might as well just go all the way. Let the continue the ride. That I have that kind of philosophy in life that you shouldn't you shouldn't you should just commit to it. Since you already decided, just do it in a way. So, anyways, the entire process you can see I'm doing it from left to right because I'm right-handed. So I try not to. I learned this process in doing doing inking. You always start from left to right as a right-hander, so you won't smudge the ink. And I try my best not to smudge the ink because it's not nice. I mean, unless you want that kind of effect, drawing itself is many. There's a lot of ways to draw, but there's no one right way. Whatever makes you feel happy, I think. So it makes me happy, but it's not perfect. So I will work on it. I will work on it. So, why bees and flowers? I don't know. I I I don't know why. I just see that I started with one bee. I wanted to draw something else, but I started with one bee and then I realized, hey, bees and flowers, and the patterns of the bee itself is yellow and black, right? So in my mind, it's like the yellow and black itself is like it will be the thing that is going around the the composition of the drawing itself. I mean, that's what I wanted, but in the end, I draw the actual bee itself, and then I give them faces. And I know the way I'm drawing the style of my drawing is kind of it's kind of childish. I know it is childish because I one of my influence for this is 1930s old cartoons. So I really like the way they design. There's a certain flow to the cartoons. I like the way they design their eyes. It, the eyes itself tells you what the other person is thinking. So to me, the way they stylize it, I really like it. I really like the way it is. So I use it in my drawing. And and some people might think that this is not art. This is more of a hobby. I will agree with them. it, it makes me happy. That's the only thing I can the only excuse I have for doing this. It makes me happy. Yeah, it makes me happy that I'm doing something that I like and I want. That's really about it. The way I drew the leaves are the most comfortable. I feel it's very comfortable because of the flow of the leaf. I'm very used to it. By now I've been drawing a lot of leaves lately, and I feel that it is very comfortable. So even the way I ink the leaf is more efficient than the way for example, I ink the bee itself. The leaf itself is the most, for me, is the most easiest thing to do because of the flow is already there, and and I think that's because of the shape. The shape itself is very stylized, I think, because I copied it from the laurel leaves. It's the laurel crown and it's influenced by the ancient Romans. They when they crown their king or rex, they call it the rex, and then they use the laurel leaves. So there's a story around behind it lah, because it's about Apollo. Um, is a ancient Greek god, and it's kind of interesting for me to study mythology as well. So it reminds me to be humble. I think that's the what it symbolizes for me. I don't know what is it for other people, but for me is to remind whoever is whether people see it or people know it. It's a story to remind humans to be humble, and I think that's something that I truly need to understand. It's not saying that I'm not humble, but to it's good to remind yourself every day, to meditate on it, to be, to never be hubris, do not be arrogant in a way that it makes people upset. And anyways, that's why I think that's why I did this drawing, but maybe that's why I did it. I don't know. I just started with it and I just go according to the flow. You can see even the way the leaf flow is from the left to the right, and there's only one, two, three, like five branches, and it goes from left to right. There's a certain flow to things, and I don't really like compose. There's no. I didn't pre-plan this. I just took out a pencil and just started drawing, and I try to stylize everything in a way that is very cartoonish. I really like that style. So I'm not saying that it's perfect, but I'm trying to find ways to make it perfect. I think inking helps it, helps this process. I learned a lot today when I did the process, the inking process. I realized there's a certain things I need to look out for, and I even draw like ink over my previous drawing because I realized that the shape itself is wrong. It's not it's not it's not stylized enough. And when I started doing the curves, right, oh, it's terrible because of all the circular shapes. The brush itself is not suitable to do. I maybe it's not the brush, maybe it's just me. I I I do not know the technique to properly uh, create a nice circle, a nice curve with the. If it's a long curve, it's fine. It's just that it's a circular curve. The brush itself is quite limited, because it's very long. But yeah, I think I will find eventually I will find a technique to to do it correctly. But anyway, so that's part of the my what I do for fun. when I have free time, and then lately I have a lot of free time. So this is, and I enjoy this process. I'm pretty uh, happy that how it turns out to be, because I didn't make any major mistake like the previous one. And the framing of the work itself is better now, but the lighting is terrible. I have to do a lot of post editing, and you can see that there's this it turns to cool and then it turns to warm. I think it's the GoPro is trying to alter the exposure itself. So there's a auto exposure thing going on, and then it kind of go back and forth. I don't know how to explain this properly, but I don't think I have a style yet. You know, I am still trying to figure out what my style really is. So I try a lot of different styles. So I try to imitate them. I try to see what makes them, why I like them. So I keep doing it. So I find this style is something that I find it, the way it's stylized, the way it's designed to be so stylized, it feels good, but at the same time there's a certain ugliness to it. You know, I don't know, I'm not sure whether it's cute or is ugly, or maybe cute is just ugly. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not no, it kind of reflects something about my art. There's always this certain ugliness, I guess. Something is just off about it, you know. Something's just off about it. I just don't know how to figure it. Eventually, I think I will figure I will figure it out how to capitalize on it. Like, oh, this is why I always do this. Oh, and then eventually. But for now, I think it's easier to just go with the flow. You know, just go with the flow. Continue to write, until the end. Uh, I I I think part of the reason why I'm doing this is, you know, I read the book from Gary Vaynerchuk, crushing it. So he says that even even if I don't make it, what harm can it bring? Eventually, this is just a, if I have kids or have grandchildren eventually, if my generation don't die out, we have something to, I can have something to show for. It's cool. You see, oh look, your your father is doing something that is, I mean, it's not good, but it's doing something. At least in a way it makes it, you have some sort of documentation of what I have done. Thanks for watching. I'll try to update as often as I can. Bye.